All right, the calendar has turned. We're moving on to league season. Intensity ratchets up, but we're still getting better. We're trying to learn to be the best officials we can be. How are we going to do that today? We're looking at 5 plays. Stick around. Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to 5 Play Friday. My name is Greg Austin with A Better Official. We craft video to help basketball officials get better and take control of their officiating career. And one of the ways we do that is we look at plays. We look at all of the things on the plays. And what are we looking at today? We have a first play. Guess what? It's a you make the call play. What do you have on this play? All right. Apparently, we have a violation on this play for a player voluntarily leaving the court and returning to the court. What do you have on this play? Is this a violation? Is this not a violation? Put your ruling in the comments below and stick around to the end of the video. We will look at all of the things on play number 1. All right. With that, let's move on to play number 2.
20 seconds here remain.
Glotzbach kicks it over.
Shot
the freshman
clock
loses
at
it.
5.
Castillo in some trouble, swings it up. Just got to get a last-second shot up. Paskowski's.
That's a violation.
That's a violation.
They call it. So 11 technical on the Roadrunners. What happened? They just gave him a technical for asking for a violation? Are you kidding me?
Did they just tee up the coach?
For asking for a violation. Are you serious? How? I guess we'll see if the ball doesn't lie here. I mean,
they give it to Pearson.
Well, Pearson, all he did was, Connor, he tapped his head, which means shot clock violation. He was just asking for one, and the ref got mad about it. I don't know about that call. That's ridiculous.
I mean, it's crunch time.
All right, so we've got shot clock activity on this play, plus player technical is assessed, right? So this is an end-of-game situation. I don't think we're under 5 seconds like the truncated clock indicates, but we are in the final portion of the game. So this is a very important situation, right? Our crew is not immediately aware of the shot clock violation. The way the ball carries over the basket, right? It makes it a little bit challenging, but this is an obvious violation and they come late. But in the interim, we've got a player. It's not the head pat. I'm sure it was language directed at the official. Call the effing violation or whatever. I mean, it's inappropriate. Because the officials are slow to make this ruling, never gives players or coaches the ability to have unsporting conduct or unsporting behavior. We have to remember that. Each and every participant, stakeholder in the game is responsible for their behavior. If it's obvious and rises to the level of a tactical foul, as it apparently does in this instance, that, are we going to, if we've missed something or we think we've missed something, are we going to give a little more rope? Yes, we are, right? A moment of frustration can be expressed, but if the moment of frustration rises to the level of a technical foul, we have to assess a technical foul in that situation. It's not a get out of jail situation, card situation, when we have missed a call and a player reacts emotionally. They are responsible, and coaches are as well, are always responsible for their behavior in this situation. So, a great play to look at, shot clock awareness, especially end of game. We've got to be super aware. Tenths of seconds count in a 2-point game, in the final minute of the game. We need to be much more aware of shot clocks. We should have a signal between officials, right? So in this situation, when the shot clock is running low, right, we may have some officials do a pat on the head, some officials do a point to the eye and communicate amongst the crew, hey, the shot clock is getting low, let's be super aware. And of course, when in this final minute, we're going to have to know what was the correct number to put on the clock. When, we should have known what the exact number was on the clock when the ball was inbounded or came into team control and we're going in this direction. So we have to be super aware of clocks in end of game situations. Our crew is not the most aware on this play, obviously, and as a result, we've impacted the game even more. Hey, you know what? We've got a tremendous group of show supporters. Do allow me a moment to thank them. Up on the show supporter big board today is Casey Cody, Joe Del Collo, George Harrum, John Landers, and Bret Temple. Much appreciated, much love. You want to support the show? There will be a link in the show description. I will put a link in the first pinned comment, and I will indeed put one up above. All right, next play.
And like most of the calls, referees had it right. So Westfield with the basketball, Kokomo 1-point lead. Buchanan down the lane, flipped it up, and Book is there to put it down. Oh, and he rubbed, yep, he dunked the basketball and he rubbed Badunga's head while he was up on the rim. That's the absolute right call.
Well, again, a little bit of background. Nick Book coming to Indiana this year, a transfer from Oak Hill Academy, and just got wrapped up in the moment a little bit.
Yeah, that was a great play by Book, but yeah, you just can't do that.
No, that happens in summer basketball, and that can happen in some other places, but just a lesson learned there by Nick Book. Let's see if this is a momentum breaker or not, because Westfield.
All right. Elite taunting in this case, in my judgment, right? We've got a player, put back dunk, an unsportsmanlike action. Technical foul is assessed by our trail official on the play. Great habits and fundamentals being connected to that play. So let's look at all of the things. Right, our calling official probably having a discussion about, the coach says, well, that's a tech for hanging on the rim and a tech for this, or that's a flagrant tech, etc. Right, explaining to the coach what they have on the play. To me, this rises to the level of a technical foul. It's not a technical for hanging on the ring. He obviously has a player in proximity, but the unsporting action absolutely needs to be addressed and is addressed by our crew. So let's look at our trail official here. Great position on the court. Stays connected. How many officials in this situation, once that ball is dunked, turn and go the other way, right? Just staying connected in that situation is so fantastic. Would the other officials have gotten it? I don't know the answer to that, right? But our trail on the spot, aware of what's going on, fantastic call. That's what we want to have in our game. And that's also a great opportunity just to say, right, in that same situation, once the ball goes in and I'm trail in a 3-person game, do I have a habit of going early? or do I stay connected to the action, right? Let the game tell you what to do next. Awesome. Awesome. All right, so that's a play we don't see every day. In my judgment, the ruling was correct, that this is simply an unsporting technical foul assessed to the player. It's a player technical for a taunt or an unsporting action. Point of emphasis this year is, the too small, or, any sort of gesture like this, the pat on the head, I think it suggests that. This player came from a high-level program, playing against high-level players. The game can be a little different in those settings. Doesn't excuse the behavior. The behavior has to be penalized, but in my judgment, unsporting technical is the correct ruling on this play. But a great play to see. Now, also, the other thing to look at on this play, what a venue! What a venue! Tremendous, right? We've got stands going up. The gym is packed. This is really fantastic. This is the place you want to work, man. We've got the full high school experience. A great venue. I'm jealous. I'd love to work in that venue someday. That play was submitted by one of our viewers. If you have a play to submit, there'll be a link in the show description, and you can submit your play, and maybe it will appear on a future episode of 5 Play Friday. All right, with that, let's move on. Next play. Okay, it would appear that we have our trail official from far, far away assessing a flagrant technical foul in this instance for our player, right? The flagrant part is the stepping on the opponent. The step over would rise to the level of a technical foul for taunting. And the stepping on the player's arm, not a lot of energy to try to avoid that. Our player is assessed what appears to be a flagrant technical foul. Why our lead official did not have something on this play, I do not know the answer to that. This is obviously a situation that needs to be addressed. The step over and then the step on, that's a great flagrant technical foul ruling in this situation. Now, our trail official, they're off screen a little bit in this situation. They make the ruling. Our player says, you're kidding me, right? And then at the very end, we see the player looks like heading to the locker room. Just a reminder, we assess disqualifying fouls. Per NFHS rules, the player is disqualified to the bench, right? They may no longer participate. If the coach chooses, hey, you're out of here, and sends the player out, that's not under our control, right? Oftentimes, if a player is upset, you could see, hopefully, an assistant coach going with them. The NFHS wants disqualified players, to be in the bench area. They don't want them leaving. Let's say the parent of the kid who got stepped on here decides, I'm going to go out in the hallway and see if I can have a word with this young fellow who just stepped on my son, right? We don't want action out of our purview, out of the coach control, right? But so we are not sending a player to the locker room. Important to understand that. The coach may say, get out of here, or whatever. And that's That's under their purview, not ours. So something to take away from that play as well, but well adjudicated by our trail official that's a long way away. Maybe come in a little stronger so we can see you on the camera. But that is a flagrant action. To step over a player, step on that player, properly ruled if that was the ruling on this play. Yeah, hey, let's look at another play. All right, a quick hitter, right? But there's always things we can take out of this, right? So is this a backcourt violation? Yes, it is. It's clear that our player has gained front court status. It is clear that our player who jumps from the backcourt is in contact with the backcourt when they leave the court. It happens quickly, but our job is to be there to make that judgment. We're right in the middle of the logo where there's dark, but they are jumping from the backcourt. That's a backcourt violation by rule. We would expect our trail to get this on this play. The things we have to be aware of, that our player who picks up the ball has front court status. If she had picked up the ball and her right foot was still in contact with the division line, then she would still have backcourt status. But front court status, last to touch in the front court, first to touch with backcourt status, is a backcourt violation. But what else can we look at on this play, right? We note our center official in a three-person game, right? And I love this. Stops to officiate this play as a high C. This trap situation stops here and doesn't run away from the play. We got a double coming as well. See, a lot of officials in this situation, they just keep going to the center, to the free throw line extended, and they essentially run away from the play. So I love accepting a play like this as a high C. The ball goes away, and then we move down to the free throw line extended. But this is a backcourt violation by rule. Yeah, a quick banger. Right? We need to be aware of player status, ball status, etc. This play kind of can surprise us, but we need to know that we had achieved front court status and that the player who jumped in the air had backcourt status. Of course, an exception applies during a throw-in, during a jump ball, or while on defense, but would not apply in this situation. Hey, back at the start of the show, play number 1 was a You Make the Call play. Let's look again at play number 1. All right, so on this play, we have a team in transition. Player moves down. One of their teammates sets up for a corner three-point shot. Apparently, on this play, we have a returning to the court violation. That is not a violation for leaving the court voluntarily and returning to the court. As long as this player establishes legally being in bounds, and what would that take? After being out of bounds, we have to have something in bounds and nothing out of bounds. So once we put a foot on the floor and lift the other foot, we are legally in bounds. We're finding that many officials are getting voluntarily leaving the court plays wrong, thinking that anytime a player is off the court and they return and are the first to touch, it's a violation, but that is not the case. A player needs to, in order to violate for voluntarily, of their own volition, leaving the court. This player is not choosing, hey, I'm going to run out of bounds. They're just not aware that their momentum has carried them to this point on the court. So this is a legal play, assuming that the player establishes. We don't see the back foot. If the back foot was in contact with out of bounds when they touched the floor, but we notice that they don't immediately reach for the ball. They establish their position on the court, and then the ruling is made. So this is not a violation for voluntarily leaving the court and returning, and to be specific, for leaving the court of one's own volition. Their momentum has carried them into this position, and if they legally reestablish, this is a legal play in high school basketball, right? Again, I'm finding that many officials have a misunderstanding about this rule, so that's our play to look at so we can get better as basketball officials. A player returning to the court, was it of their own volition? Let's look. All right, this player clearly leaves the court due to their momentum. When players shoot layups, they leave the court almost always, right? When they are moving at a high rate of speed, they are out of bounds. When they return to the court, they are the first to touch the basketball. Is this a violation? If you think it's a violation, change your thinking. This is a legal play. This is absolutely a legal play. Everything about the player's behavior here is legal. They are out of bounds legally. They do not deceitfully delay their return or any such fashion. They return to the court. They are establish themselves in bounds. What do they need to do that? They need one foot in and nothing out. So when that right foot goes down and that left foot comes up, they are legal. They grab the basketball. They are fouled. This is a legal play. Make no mistake about it. In contrast with our other play, where we need to make some judgment about whether the player intentionally ran off the court, this is an obvious example of this player is out of bounds legally. There is no restriction on their return to the court. Just want to bring that in and emphasize that, as we need to get these plays correct by rule. Yeah, we do. Thanks so much for joining us today for 5 Play Friday. Great time to do all the things. Hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you find value, share the video with other basketball officials. Awesome. We have tremendous show supporters. Again, do allow me a moment to thank them for their support. Casey Cody, Joseph Del Collo, George Harrum, John Landers, and Bret Temple. Much appreciated. Much love. You want to support the show? Yeah. You know what to do. It's down in the show description. And up above. Awesome. Additional video content. Here's the next video to watch. Here's a link to our free training for new officials. Take care, everybody. We'll see you in the very next episode. Take care.